Welcome to the With Clarity and Purpose podcast with your host, Janet Borrego. Each week, I bring you an inspiring person or message to empower you to live life on your terms so you can be who you want to be, do what you are meant to do, and have the life you deserve to have. We will provide you with practical and cutting-edge approaches to continue getting clarity and direction on your path, mastering your mindset, and gaining confidence to tap into your inner wisdom so you can live on purpose. Hello, welcome back to another episode of With Clarity and Purpose. And I haven't recorded a solo podcast episode in a while because I just came back a few weeks ago from being 3 weeks in Hawaii and then traveling to New York after that for a media event. And before I left for Hawaii, I recorded like 6 or 7 different podcast episodes. So I was just ready. And now I'm resuming into the routine of recording all these amazing episodes for all of you. And I was 3 weeks in Hawaii for a personal development and spiritual growth training, which I deeply loved. And I cannot wait to continue incorporating all these lessons, all these techniques and key takeaways in my coaching practice and in everything else that I do, including the podcast, the content that I release to all of you every single week. Because for me, the purpose of developing myself is also to help develop others. That's why I'm here. And that's why I left my 9 years corporate career last year to become a full-time coach. This is what I'm truly passionate about, and this is where I want to serve you, which is really important to me. So I spent 3 weeks in Hawaii, which was amazing. And there was a lot of learning. These are trainings where you start at 10 a.m. and you literally finish at 8 p.m. So these are non-stop trainings. And that's what I love because I'm a learner. I love learning, implementing, and just getting more techniques for all of you. So I came back from Hawaii. And that was on a Tuesday. That was on a Tuesday because my flight was on Monday, but I arrived here on a Tuesday at 5 a.m. And I've never been so jet lagged in my life. I was really struggling. And not only to tell you that Thursday, I had to travel to New York for a media event that I had on Friday. So that week was just nonstop for me. Really, the last 4 weeks that I was traveling, it was just like nonstop. So I went to New York on Thursday, and on Friday, there was this one-day media event that I was attending where we would meet the audience. We were like a group of 25 people. We would meet TV producers and editors from huge publications such as Business Insider, Next Advisor, like a lot of really inspiring editors, right, of these publications that we read on a daily basis. And in New York, it was a little bit chilly compared to Houston, where I live. So I took a coat with me. And then I'm not used to actually carrying a coat. And in the event, I not only had a coat, but I actually put my coat in a closet. And I'm not used to, 1, having a coat on me, and 2, putting my clothes somewhere else than in my body. Okay, in this case was in the closet. And then I did that at the beginning of the event. We went through the event. It was very insightful. We connected with wonderful people and wonderful entrepreneurs from the audience. That was one of my intentions for also going to this event. And at the end of the event, I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, yes, we did it. And we had a dinner planned. The person that I was staying with, Kimberly, I love her to death. She was so gracious enough to let me stay with her and her boyfriend. And we had some dinner reservations, and we actually decided to invite other people from the event. So we requested the Uber and we just left in a hurry. And before, like 1 minute before the Uber arrived, I was like, oh my God, Kimberly, I forgot my coat in the closet, of course. So I went super quick upstairs. I take the elevator, ended up going upstairs. I knock on the door because I realized that the door to the room that we were in, it was closed. So I knocked on the door and no one responds. And in my mind, I'm like, well, I guess my coat stayed there. And then I was like, oh my God, the Uber is waiting. So I need to go down because more people are waiting on me to take the Uber because I was the person who requested the Uber. And I just got this inner knowing within me that somehow I was going to get that coat back. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I wasn't attached to the outcome either. So I just went to the Uber, rode with 2 other attendees from the event, and then we had amazing Italian dinner. And I was like, Kimberly, I don't know how I'm gonna get that quote, but I'm letting go of attachment. But inside of me, I just had that inner knowing that somehow from New York to Houston, Texas, that quote was going to arrive. And have you ever in your life really have that inner knowing of that inner voice just telling you, hey, no worries, this is gonna happen? Or telling you the opposite, hey, this is not for you. I recently made a pretty significant decision of something that I realized due to the timing of my business and everything else that was not in alignment with my path. And it was just because I was listening to that inner voice. So we had dinner. The next day, my flight was leaving around 9 a.m. So I ended up leaving around 6:30 from her apartment to get to the LaGuardia airport. And at this time, I'm in the plane. I don't have my jacket still, my coat. I traveled to Houston. I make it. And then I was like, well, I guess I didn't get my jacket. But inside of me, again, I had this inner knowing. And I wasn't attached to whether I got it or not. So I just kept going through my life. I was resuming the routine in my business and everything else. And 1 week after, I get a message in Telegram. It's like a messaging app from one of the coordinators of the event, sending me a picture of my coat and telling me, Janet, is this your coat? Because if it is yours, we'll mail it to you. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much, please. I would appreciate that so much. 1 week after. And there are so many lessons, even in these experiences, because how many times we receive this like inner voice, or like I call it sometimes these like inner downloads, just information that you get, and you get this inner knowing that things are happening for you. How many times aren't we listening to that voice? And then we start questioning every single step of the way. In my case, I just knew I was gonna get it. I didn't know the how it was gonna happen. And I see it in my coaching practice all the time. When we are setting our 1-year goals after going through a process of defining who my clients want to be, they want to be doing, we do a comprehensive process even before we get into the 1-year goals, just to make sure they connect to that North Star, to that long-term direction. And when we get to the goals, which is basically the milestones they want to achieve within the next year, so many times they tell me, Janet, but I just don't know how I'm gonna get there. And I always remind them, it doesn't matter. What you need to figure out is your next step. And as you continue moving forward, and as you continue going through that next step over and over, you are gonna get clarity in your path. Because what we forget often is that there is this universal intelligence, this universal mind around us and inside of us. And everything that happens in our lives happens in harmony, even in the most challenging moments. Because those challenges are a sign that we need to get a lesson from there. So the next question, and really the next reflection and the next key takeaway from this experience is, are you trusting? Are you trusting that inner voice, and are you trusting to move forward in this path towards your dreams, really, towards your purpose, even though you don't know the how? And let me tell you something, whenever you're growing, whenever you're pushing the boundaries of what you know or who you think you are, your boundaries of those limiting beliefs, when you ask yourself, am I capable? Is this possible for me? Whenever you're pushing those boundaries, you're going to have fear in your life. You're going to have fear in your life because it is totally okay. Your mind, in a way, is going to try to keep you in the comfort zone to protect you. But what we got to remember is that there is nothing to be protected of. You are a creator. You're the creator of your reality. You're the creator of your life. And you deserve to grow. You deserve to go to that next step. I love a quote that I listened probably like a few months ago. And I don't remember the exact wording, but it's something like this. In fear and faith, there is nothing guaranteed, right? Whether you decide to fear or you decide to have faith, there are no guarantees. And it requires you to believe in something you cannot see. But which one are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to be operating in fear and survival mode? Or are you going to choose to trust the process and live in faith, knowing that everything that happens in this world is for you? And I want you to also think, as we talk through these learnings, I want you to also think, how many times in your life, when you look back in your life, how many times haven't you achieved things that you're even surprised that you got there? And at the beginning, you just didn't know how you were gonna get there. What you knew is what you wanted to manifest, who you wanted to be, but you didn't know the how. It is so important that we trust in the how and that we let the how flexible. Because as you continue walking in your path, you start getting more information that you didn't know before. You start growing into a new version of yourselves. So how often are you trusting the process? How often are you trusting this inner voice that it's coming from you? Isn't it incredible how so many times we go to other people asking them to tell us what to do and to give us this external validation? They don't know better. They are trying to figure out their way to. So you're trusting someone else that is not you most of the time. Many times. I used to do this all the time. And I think in my journey of gaining clarity in my purpose, and even in this transition of entrepreneurship, I built up my confidence on relying on that inner voice, even if at times it doesn't make logical sense in my mind. I just decide to trust it. If it's coming from a place of love, and if my heart and my gut are in it, I just trust it. Because we never are going to know with certainty the exact step and the exact roadmap to get there. Many things can happen. And you can only be in the creative space when you're operating out of uncertainty. Because you don't know what's going to happen. You're creating. Creation is pure uncertainty. So trust is a big thing. Having that faith. And when I say faith, I don't necessarily refer it in a religious way. If you're religious, then you can use that label as is. But I refer it in this trust of yourself, really. This trust of yourself and this energy that is within you that knows what to do next. And the rest, you just gotta trust. And the third key learning for me, which is something that I've been working on mainly this year, are you surrendering? With this trust that you have of the process, are you letting go of the attachment to the outcome and just surrendering? Because the only thing we have control of is what we do. The only thing I had control of at that moment was me running back to that room where the event happened, knocking on the door, hoping to recover my coat. And I took action. I took the action that I thought was necessary in the moment in order to get my coat back. But guess what? Nothing happened at that moment. But I just knew that I was going to get it back from New York to Houston somehow. And I wasn't obsessing over it. I was like, okay, I took action. Whether I get it or not, I'm gonna be happy with what I did. So it's not only about thinking and wishing, you gotta take action in the process. So as you're taking action and you're moving towards that desired outcome and you're trusting the process, are you also surrendering? Meaning, are you letting go of the attachment to the outcome? Because so many times we also get attached to the outcome. We get attached to the next step. You get attached to how things are gonna go, how other people respond, if people liked your post or not. And that attachment, if you close your eyes and visualize what attachment is a way to be stuck because there is no movement of energy, there is no movement of you. Focus on the only thing you can control, which is the actions that you take in order to move forward and how you show up every single day, how you respond to situations, how you overcome challenges. That's the only thing, my friend. The rest, you surrender. Because whatever happens next, it is also important that we trust that it's happening in the higher good of yourself and others around you. I just wanted to share this really small event that happened in New York, but with these small events, there were so many key takeaways and key learnings that apply to our everyday life. I hope this resonated with you, and if you really enjoyed this podcast episode, please consider leaving a review so we can really reach more and more people with this empowering content. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in again, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening at With Clarity and Purpose. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Sharing is caring. Please share with your friends and family so we can continue building an empowered community together. I'll see you next week.